Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to have a little chat about the Christmas Battleforces that are being floated around rumour-wise. So, I actually got a message a couple of days ago, well, I've got two messages, one yesterday and one on Wednesday, which contain some information as to what battle forces we're going to see. Now, of course, other places have already reported things, and it's slightly confusing to me because the two messages that I received, the information that I've had from two different people, it's worth saying, both of them match what different people have said. So, we've got one thing from a French forum that suggests that the Age of Sigmar stuff is going to be Nighthaunt, Skaven, Stormcast, and Gobbos. Excellent, nice to see some Gobbos. And for Warhammer 40k, there's going to be 6 sets, which are going to be Tau, Drakari, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Tyranids, and Chaos. Now, the interesting thing with that is that I think Valrak was told it was going to be Salamanders and Space Wolves, or was it Salamanders and Blood Angels? Either way, Salamanders replacing one of those. I was told from one person that it would be Tau, Drakari, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Tyranids, and Chaos, and by someone else that it was going to be Tau, Drakari, Space Wolves, Salamanders, Tyranids, and Chaos. So there's at least a few things that match up from what I've been told, or the information that I've been given, with what other people have said, but on both counts. Which basically means, I'm pretty sure at this point, we are going to get 2 Space Marine boxes. That seems highly likely. I remember, it was last year's, wasn't it? Where I was critical, not critical, but I found it difficult to believe that Games Workshop would do 2 Primaris boxes, because they would just be the same box twice. And then they did exactly that. I think it was last year when they did the Imperial Fists, shoulder pads and stuff, and you had a Primaris Space Marines box and an Imperial Fist box, which before that came out I was like, that's not going to happen, because why would they just do 2 boxes for the same stuff? Well, now that that has been done, I have no reason to doubt that they would do that a second time. So whichever combination it turns out to be it Space Wolves and Salamanders, Blood Angels Salamanders, or Space Wolves and Blood Angels, I am 90% sure that we are going to see 2 boxes of Primaris, which, I'll be honest, is getting a little bit old now. Now, the only way that they could spice that up in a way that would make things interesting to me would be as if one of those boxes contained something that wasn't Primaris, or if they used it as a way to do totally different flavour things. I mean, much though I know people enjoyed the fact there was an Imperial Fist box last time, because at the time you didn't have the upgrade spruce and stuff specifically for Primaris, it was still 2 boxes of Primaris. It was still very much the same thing twice, which is a bit of an issue when it comes to that range as a whole. A lot of chapters lose their special flavour by sheer force of the fact that an intercessor is an intercessor, and without a bunch of options, it's difficult to properly represent what each chapter does on the tabletop. Now, if it was going to be one box of intercessors and hellblasters and aggressors, and like a gunline style Primaris force, and then the other box was going to be the infiltrators and the inceptors and properly the suppressors, switch it up so one box has got a stealth focus, one has got just a static gunline focus. That would be a bit more interesting. Unfortunately, none of the options presented from the information that I've been given and the information that other people have been given suggest that that's going to be the case. I can't see Space Wolves going super stealthy and doing a massive infiltrator force complete with Invicta warsuits and eliminators for that classic Space Wolf feel. That doesn't seem very likely, and exactly the same can be said for both the Blood Angels and the Salamanders. They're not really what those chapters are fully about, let's be totally honest. It would be kind of nice to see Blood Angels, if it was their box, you get a box with a bunch of their older stuff in. Stick some Death Company in, some Sanguinary Guard, maybe a Librarian Dread, something like that. The same thing with Space Wolves. If Space Wolves could actually get something full of wolves, that would be really, really good. The chances of that, though, seem pretty slim, because Games Workshop really are pushing the Primaris angle as hard as they possibly can. Everything is Primaris. That is just how it is now, and the chances of there being a big box containing a bunch of non-Primaris Space Marine units unfortunately just strikes me as being a bit slim, which is a pity, because otherwise we are most likely just going to get 2 kind of similar boxes again, which I'm not a massive fan of. However, we are also, by the look of it, going to see Tau, Drakari, Chaos and Tyranids. The Drakari I am kind of excited about. I would hope that they would use that as a second push for the stuff in the in the Blood of the Phoenix box. Maybe if we got the new Incubi in that box, that would be nice in proper full form. I don't know how likely that is, but given they've been getting a bit more attention, it would be quite nice to see that box. Tau, I'm pretty sure we got last time anyway. In fact, is Tau been will this make Tau 3 years in a row? I can't remember. I can't remember what the 1 year before was, but I'm pretty sure Tau was last year. It's just the year before that I'm not sure on. They must obviously be a safe bet. That's what I'm angling for with Tau. I mean, if they're showing up pretty regularly in terms of these boxes, then I assume that every time they do them, they sell well, and as such, they will continue to do them. Much the same way that we see the same kind of the classic approach to Space Marines. People buy Space Marines, so they make a shed load of Space Marines. That's just how that goes. Chaos and Tyranids, I'd really like to see a similar Apocalypse box for the Tyranids. If that came back again, I would probably grab that. In fact, I would definitely grab that, because I've still had Tyranids on the brain since that point, so a Tyranid box at Christmas, if it was full of big monsters, I'd probably plump for that above everything else. Depending on what's in the Chaos box, admittedly. The Chaos box could be actually kind of interesting. I mean, we have had the new stuff since Shadowspear, and Chaos has been actually given quite a bit of attention comparatively. Provided there isn't a bunch of really ancient stuff in there, provided it's chock full of the new sculpts and stuff, that'd be a pretty decent box, and that'd be a fun one to have. If it was some sort of weird themed thing, I'm not so sure, but they've got a nice range of much newer units to choose from now, so one of those could probably tip me over into steering away from just doing knights and and vehicles again for the small, very slow glacial Iron Warriors side of the whole chaos thing that's going on in this particular office. Again though, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Salamanders, whatever combination it is, I don't know how different they're going to be, and that does not fill me with a huge amount of excitement, to be totally honest. If there's one thing that is starting to really sap my excitement for Space Marines, it is just the fact that, and we've talked about this before many times, Primaris make them all feel very similar. You can change the colour of the armour, but the attitude is not the same from one chapter to the other, and Primaris feel like a very homogeneous force. They feel very, very vanilla in a way. They lack the flavour of the individual chapters, and whilst you can stick a bunch of wolf tails and runes onto sky blue Primaris intercessors, there's still something about it that is just not quite Space Wolves enough. You can stick iconography all over Blood Angels intercessors, but they still just don't quite have that same charm and feel as normal Blood Angel Space Marines. The kit that they've got is quite nice, the standard Space Marine kit for Blood Angels. If it was a box full of that, like I say, I would really love it to be a total surprise, not Primaris based. Actually have, if it is Space Wolves and Blood Angels, actually have a box full of Space Wolves. Have Thunderwolf Cavalry. Have is it the Stormwolf, the flying shoebox? I always forget what it's called. One of those in there. Make it properly themed this time round. Same thing for Blood Angels. They've got so many unique units. A Blood Angels box full of Primaris stuff is just not as exciting as actually seeing the old stuff again would be. Out of those three, the thing that would most fit, I'm afraid, sorry Salamanders players, would most fit just Primaris stuff, the same Primaris stuff we get every time, would be Salamanders, because they don't have the spread of unique individual units that Space Wolves and Blood Angels have. So if we were going to see Space Wolves and Salamanders, I'd be happy for there to be a Primaris box out of that, as long as it wasn't the Space Wolves one. And again, if it was Blood Angels and Salamanders, same deal. I'd be quite happy with a box of that, but I would want one of them to be properly unique and not just reliant on calls, lads, again. It seems pretty... it doesn't seem like anything exceptionally out of the ordinary for these boxes. Nothing particularly unbelievable. This is one of those rumours that is, I get in a way interesting just because they seem to be different from place to place, but similar enough that there's clearly a repeating trend. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out to actually be Tau, Drakari, Chaos, Tyranids, and then Space Wolves and Blood Angels, but only if one of them was completely Primaris, if not both of them. That's when that would make sense. The exceptional thing would be to actually not do Primaris for both, but chances of that seem very, 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 very slim, unfortunately. But we'll just have to wait and see. There's a good chance that that these rumours will solidify somewhat. That was a weird choice of phrase, wasn't it? Will solidify somewhat as we get closer to the date. But we'll just have to see. Most of it makes perfect sense. And whilst I may have expressed a measure of disbelief last time, the idea of 2 Space Marine boxes, they've already done it. So good chance that they will in fact do that again, let's be honest. So yeah, that is what I've been told, what other people have been told. It mostly matches. There's a couple of weird outliers that would be interesting to see which turns out to be correct. But I'm not placing any money on any of it. So really, it's just a case of waiting and seeing, isn't it? Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of all of that in the comments down below. As always, I'm assuming you're with me, right? If there was 2 Space Marine boxes, you'd want one of them to not be Primaris. I'm assuming that is an accurate statement to be making right now. So, but still, let me know if you disagree, whether you think actually you could do quite a cool thing with 2 different Primaris boxes, even though it would end up very much the same. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to click all the things, Patreon video, subscribe, all of that stuff. As always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games. If you click it and buy something, you will save between 15 and 25% off 40k, Age of Sigmar, paints, all the rest of the stuff they stock, which is a shitload of stuff. I get a little something sent you that way, and 10% of anything done during the month goes to charity at the end of the month. So it's a nice way to support the channel with no extra effort required, and do a little bit extra as well. That is an option. You can take it if you like. I leave it in your semi-capable hands, and I hope you have cleaned your room by this point. I did tell you yesterday, so, no slacking. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Toodaloo.